Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cast. Guys, today I have for you a very interesting game. This will be a free-for-all on a map I've never casted. I believe this map is somewhat newer, which would explain why I've never casted it. This map is sort of a variation on an old TA map called the Pass. Typically, the Pass was just two locations with, one sort of a gauntlet between them. But this map has 4 locations. So this particular match will be a free-for-all. I have never casted a free-for-all on my channel. So this will be a first for me. I'm really interested to see how a free-for-all goes between these players. And in the chat, they did say no air. So... again, yeah, they're saying it again in the chat. No air, no nukes. So this is going to be interesting. Guys, let me explain why it's going to be interesting. Because air is kind of essential. Oh my gosh, now they're saying T1 only. Yeah, no units, no cons. Okay, so this keeps getting more and more convoluted as time progresses. And then the rules, no one can decide on what the frickin' rules are. But anyways, I think the only rule for now is no air. But guys, the reason that's going to be interesting is because the units have to go through this pass. And it takes forever. And, they can easily get blocked. Like a single corpse could probably block an entire army. And not only that, but there's very little actual resources on the map. And the wind is terrible. So this is a low resource map. Even the middle doesn't have much, and that surprises me, because if I were to design this map, I'd put all the mexes in the middle. That way everyone would be kind of forced to fight for the middle. Like, to me, that's sort of the best way to design a map like this, but for some reason, there's no metal in the middle either. So, like, yeah, it's just kind of a strange map, and a really weird... Yeah, Walker, I don't know what Walker's doing. He's just kind of dragon's teething himself in there, but... Yeah, this is a strange map. There's not a lot of resources. The players have agreed not to go air. It's going to take, like, absolutely an eternity for units to go through these passes. And they're easy to defend. And there's... Yeah, but anyway, look. It's going to be interesting, okay? That's all I can tell you. I have no idea what's going to happen. I've never casted a game like this. I don't even know what I would do on a map. I probably just wouldn't play on a map like this, because it would just... tilt the ever-living crap out of me. But these players are braver than I am. Now, one thing I want to say is that our green player Zinthus, he has decided to I don't know what he's doing. He hasn't really built a base. He just took his command. I don't know what dark green's doing, but yeah, okay. He's decided to just abandon the starting area and go straight for the middle. Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him. Obviously, this is a strange thing to do, but it's not necessarily bad. I mean, controlling the middle could be useful. The issue is that you now have got three other players that are going to be gunning for you. They're going to be targeting you. So I'm not sure if positioning yourself in the middle is exactly like the best strategy on this map. I probably wouldn't do that, just because you make yourself the target, and there's no metal in the middle. Now, if the middle had a ton of mexes, which I think it should, then rushing the middle might actually be a decent strategy. The players continue to make up rules as time goes along. Look, guys, personally, I think this map without air is already trolling. Like, you need air to be able to transport your units over these ridges, or to build bombers and gunships. Like, trying to play this map without air just... It feels like it's sort of like trying to swim with an open parachute on. It just isn't great. Tasto has already gotten an AK through to take out Dark Green's very few resources. But I already did introduce Dark Green, so let me introduce the other players. We have, in brown, we've got Major Paradox, who is going heavily into solars and metal makers, which isn't bad. I think that's a good way to get resources. Right now, Brown is at the top of the resource chart, so good on him to try to make the best use of, converting metal into energy. Tasto, another core player, going K-Bots, doing a similar strategy. And finally, we do have Walker, who has been, understandably aggrieved by me. I think Walker's a little upset with me. I do apologize, Walker. I wasn't attempting to troll you or make you feel targeted. I'm simply casting the games that I cast. Just call it like I see it. So trust me, everyone has bad games. Everyone makes mistakes, including me, especially me. So guys, trust me, I don't have anything personal against anyone in the community. I'm just here casting games. It is all just fun and games for me. I think that's already pretty obvious by just the sort of style of my casts. I don't take much personally. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a problem with anyone in the community except for Thaldrin. Yeah. It's really just, I have an issue with him. I have an issue with Thaldrin, okay? That's it. So unless you're Thaldrin, we're good. We're good, Walker. We're fine. Everything's good. I think maybe it's you shouldn't take things so personally. But let's see what Walker does this game. He is going into Advanced K-Bot Labs straight as fast as he can. No other player is even on T2 or anywhere near it. In fact, Brown hasn't even started building his lab. I mean, obviously he reclaimed his vehicle plant, but now he's rebuilding into K-Bot, so that's going to take a little while. Dark Green has put himself into a terrible situation just already because, he's got no metal, he has no metal income at all. So yeah, Dark Green is definitely in a terrible situation. He's let Blue take his starting mexes. That's really not going to be an ideal situation. And like I said, Dark Green is going to be targeted by the other players just because he's positioned himself in the middle. So like everyone has to go through the middle just to attack each other just because there's no air in this game. So yeah, Dark Green has basically just made his base a way station for every player to jump on him whenever they try to get through the middle. Yeah. And now Dark Green says, I wish we could all live in Paradise, brother. So Dark Green maybe calling for a truce, a bit of a ceasefire. And, I don't blame him because if I was in Dark Green's position right now, I would maybe want a ceasefire myself. Doesn't seem like a great situation to be in when you're surrounded by enemies and even your original base has been captured. Giving Tasto the most metal in the game simply because he now has double the metal extractors of everyone else. Actually, triple because he's got these two in the middle. Of course, those don't seem like great mexes, but again, this is such a strange map, and their decision to play it without air makes it even stranger because typically air would be a must on a map like this. I would expect to see drops right away, picking up some AKs or Peewees or Pyros or something, or Mavericks, put them in a transport, drop them in the enemy base, and get as much damage as you can done. And bombers, obviously, like good bombing run, can take out all the metal makers and what have you. So the decision not to go air, very interesting here. And I expect this game to go in a very bizarre way as a result of that shared decision. Walker says too much drinking. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Dark Green definitely he needs to lay off the alcohol because his strategies. He's only got 2 metal per second. Everyone else is around 20. He's got 1/10 of the metal of everyone else. So Dark Green is basically broke. He's a poor people. This is a game of Monopoly, and everyone else is taking the entire boardwalk. And poor Dark Green is just, He's about to be homeless, I think. They're going to kick him out on the street and, you know, just sort of batter him around and tell him to get a job and all that, because poor guy is definitely not in a situation that's very enviable. But, yeah, Walker going straight into fusion. I mean, I don't know about this. It might pay off. It's greedy, obviously. I mean, because fusions are extremely expensive. Typically, you wouldn't go into fusion in a normal game, and obviously this game is everything but normal. But in a normal game, fusions are more of a mid to late game tech, because they give you a ton of power, but they're very expensive. So typically, you would build some resource generators first to get your energy. Some resource generators, some geothermals, things like that. I mean, you can see the resource generator is only 1,500 metal. The fusion is over 6,000, so it's like 4 times the price of a resource generator. And of course, it gives 4 times the energy. But you would much rather have a fourth of the energy for a fourth of the price than trying to get it all at once, because it just takes so long. As you can see, it just takes so long at the beginning of the game to get that fusion done. And because of that, like in a normal game, you just put yourself so far behind that you will often just get killed. But this is a different map. I mean, see, that's what Blue's doing. Blue has the right idea. He's just going straight for resource generators. And you can see, like, well, I mean, it's not exactly fair because Tasto has the 6 mexes, but I do think this is going to work better for Tasto. As you can see, Tasto's energy is tripling Walker's right now, just because he decided to go for the resource generator spam instead of going straight for the fusions. But okay, already Tasto, some nice use of Dominator. So a lot of my viewers may not know, but the Dominator in the original game, this is how it fired. It was a vertically firing rocket launcher. A bit like the Merle or the Dominator. In fact, exactly like that. But in Escalation, they changed it to be like a forward firing, so it will shoot horizontally. But you can still change its firing mode to shoot vertically, which is useful in situations like this. And now Tasto might be in a little trouble. He's been pretty greedy. He does have a GAT here. I'd like to see him take his commander, put it here with the D-gun, but he's actually going to do the opposite. He's going to try to hide his commander, prevent himself from getting killed by instigators. But I don't think he would have gotten killed. I think if he just plays it safe, he's got a GAT here, a few D-guns would be perfectly fine. And here we see the Dominator in its forward firing position. This is how it is in Escalation, but it is so cool in Escalation that you can do both. You can either fire vertically or horizontally. But I do think that with these Dragon's Teeth and the GAT and the Dominator, Blue will be perfectly fine. And so crisis averted, and unfortunately that means Dark Green's entire army, everything he's been building for the past 20 minutes, has been absolutely eviscerated. And so Dark Green is in an even more terrible situation. Guys, I'm just going to tell you, like, if I was playing this map without... I mean, if I was playing this map, I would go air. But if air was banned, I don't even know what I would do. I'm just being completely honest with you. Like, I can't even fathom how I would try to, like, crack this particular chestnut, because it is such a bizarre, like, situation to be in as a player that you can't use air, and then there's these, like, long winding passages that prevent you from even attacking properly. I mean, you saw Dark Green had 1 million instigators, and they just all went through this, 300 style, this is Sparta choke point, and just got killed by a couple units. So it's such a weird map to try to navigate as a player. Now, Walker has finished his fusion, and he's gone immediately for a second fusion. So Walker being very greedy, but the green might pay off if he can get these fusions up, and then maybe I don't even know. maybe go into Mavericks, or there's got to be units that can kind of crawl over the hills. I have no idea. Dark Green's commander is in a bit of trouble. I think he's... Dark Green is definitely going to be our first ejection from the game because he's just positioned himself in the worst possible place. And but at this point in the game, I think Tasto is probably doing the best. I like that he went 5 resource... or no, 6. So guys, the thing about the resource generator that makes it such an interesting unit, and it's an Escalation exclusive, is that the resource generator can convert energy into metal. So it gives you 250 energy, but you can then convert that into metal and just give yourself 2 free metal by having the resource generator. It gets rid of the energy, basically. It nullifies the energy, but as you can see, the ones that are flashing red and yellow are activated, so that does mean that Tasto is getting 8 metal, basically for free, from these 4 that are turned on, and then these that are turned off are giving him 250 energy apiece. So I like what Tasto's doing. He's got a decent thing going on here, working on his first fusion now. But again, where's this game going to go? Okay, so Walker doing Walker things. He's going to go into T3 right away, and I don't hate it. I mean, I think that yeah, it could work, you know. I'm definitely not gonna poop on it. I mean, I think like it's an interesting strategy. T3 units obviously are game changing, but I really like what Tasto is doing too. The Dominator spam, using them in their vertically launched configuration. Dark Green, as I mentioned, already in a horrible position. And it seems to be under the influence of some drugs or alcohol. Poor guy. So, right now, Tasto definitely doing the best in terms of, like, his resources and his strategy, I think. But we don't want to count the northern and southern players out. Walker, obviously, moving to T3, but Major Paradox... also just kind of ecoing up. He doesn't really have a lot of units. Tasto definitely with the most of an army at this point. Brown does have a few freakers. But anyway, this is such a strange map. I don't think I would ever enjoy playing this, but it has been fun to cast just because it's interesting to see how everyone wants to try and unpack this this box. Unpack, sort of unpack this gift. If that's what you want to call this map. It's kind of like this is a Christmas Day special, even though we're not there, but maybe you're watching this on Christmas or Christmas Eve and you're like, what the hell am I watching? And I fully agree with you, my friends. What are we watching? Even even at full speed, everything just feels like it's happening in slow motion. But, I didn't think about this. Tactical nukes and actual nukes are a thing, and Dark Brown is building a fortitude right away. He doesn't want to allow himself to get nuked. But on that note, Walker could easily get nuked. I'd love to see Tasto build a tactical nuke up here and just kind of nuke Walker. But I doubt he'll think of that. It is something I don't know if I would think of, but now that Brown is building a fortitude, it does seem like potentially a strong strategy that you could do on a map like this. I'm not sure if a tactical nuke would actually reach the enemy base from there, but maybe if you built it here, it could reach Walker's base. Obviously, if you built it here, it could reach it. But I'm not sure if it could reach it from here. It would be close. You might be able to get the edge of it. And that's all you would really need to get. If you took out... one tactical nuke could take out all the eco there, and Walker would certainly rage quit. But no, as of now, the players are just building units. Blue is finally moving through, deciding that Brown is the more attractive target. I'm not sure how he's made that decision. It's probably just that Brown is a little closer to him. So he's just going to attack there first, but these Mortys are completely useless because they're just hitting the wall. That's what makes combat so difficult here. But I really do like the vertically firing Dominators. It's a great strategy on this map for sure. You know, they can fire over the walls. They're pretty mobile. And yeah, dark green obviously gone. So it's now a three-way free-for-all. But Tasto's use of Dominators here, very effective, very interesting. I have to give him credit for this. This is a pretty top-notch strategy. I do love it. And, you know, we rarely even see the Dominators being used in this capacity with the vertically launched missiles, but this is how they originally were in OTA, and it's how they still are, I think, in Pro TA. So, yeah, this is clearly extremely effective, and I think Brown is now going to be in trouble. He's building his own Dominators to try and counter this, but right now Tasto has more. I like that Brown has built some Spectres to cloak his base. That will make it much harder for Tasto to be able to siege him, because if not for this cloaking shenanigans, he could probably hit this Fortitude already. And that would be nothing if not frustrating for Brown, whose base is now being encroached upon. But I like that Brown is countering with his own Dominators. It seems like Brown might be able to hold this off if he keeps pumping out Dominators. And again, good use of Spectre. I'm not sure if I would have thought about the base cloaking, but that's definitely a great great idea. But yeah, vertically launched Dominator Wars. It's not... I'm not sure if I've ever casted this before, but it's interesting. And now, Brown bringing his commander, perhaps realizing he's got to stop this push from getting into his base. He will force Tasto to retreat. And I think with that, Tasto will be pushed off. At least for now. Ooh, Brown needs to be careful though. His commander can get hit by those rockets. But still very healthy. I think he'll be fine. And perhaps with that, Blue's push will be stopped short. And he will be forced to retreat. But in the meantime, Walker is finally on T3. And he really has not participated in the game at all. Just going straight for T3, not even building any defenses. Now, he does have an advanced radar, so he will be able to see... That's the range of it. So he will be able to see units long before they get to his base. So I'm sure if Walker saw, you know, an army encroaching on his territory, he would probably begin to spam out some defenses and units. In fact, even building a T3 radar to give himself even more vision of what's going on. So credit to Walker here. He hasn't built many defenses, but he hasn't really needed them because... Again, he can see everything he needs to see in order to prepare for an attack. Which, yeah, guys, this is such a strange map, and again, like, approaching it is going to require some very innovative strategies. Now, I'm a little disappointed that they decided no air, because I feel like air would have changed this game completely, just in terms of how you would have to defend yourself. I mean, you couldn't just be this greedy. Like, Walker would need tons of air defense in a normal game. Like, flaks and defenders and decimators and everything. Just to be able to stop, like, a few bombers could just blow up his whole base. But that is not what the players have decided to do. They wanted to go no air. And so because of that, Walker has been able to just kind of go purely into eco, not building any defense at all. I mean, not even a single light laser tower. He does have a spooter. That's about it. And now Walker with this advanced radar, you can see he can see all of Blue's base. So pretty impressive. That's a huge radius. Like, he's gonna know everything that is going on for miles, and he can tell there's a battle happening here in the south. Now, one other thing that Walker's doing that I really like is he's built an infiltrator. Here it is. Now, it will cloak, and when it's cloaked, well, okay, we can see it when we're on Walker's view. But, yeah, the infiltrator is... this was an OTA, but it's a unit that... It's like a spy K-bot, and it can cloak. It's also invisible to radar, so it can go... It's stealth, and it can cloak. So stealth means invisible to radar. Cloak means it can become actually invisible, like blend in with the terrain, active camouflage, or what have you. So Walker is building this to send out to get vision of what's going on. The issue is, even the infiltrator won't be great because the cloaking becomes broken when any unit walks close to it. So as soon as he tries to go through this pass, it's going to get revealed. And also, Walker doesn't... The problem is the cloaking requires energy per second. So as soon as you run out of energy, the cloak ends. So I don't expect this infiltrator to really survive very long. But in the meantime, the Dominator War is still happening, but I truly do not think this is going to achieve much. It's kind of an interesting battle, but I just think in the end it's going to be a lot of missiles going nowhere. But I do like Blue's position. I mean, Blue's still upgrading his eco, and you know, economically, Tasto is way ahead of everyone else, even though he's only on T2. But unfortunately, Walker is on T3, and even though Tasto has best control of the map, he's got control of the middle. All Walker needs to do is just make some T3, and anyway. Now, one thing that's interesting is that Walker decided to go for a Nova. I don't think that's what I would have gone for. The problem is the Nova is kind of like the walking Bertha. But the issue with the Nova is that I think its shots are going to hit the walls. The Nova is more of a long-range combatant. I think if I was in Walker's situation, I would have gone straight for the Cerberus, which is like a close-range, heavy assault bot. Or the Gorgon could be good too. The Gorgon, about twice the cost as the Cerberus. That's probably why I'd go for the Cerberus first. It's cheaper. But yeah, I think I would have gone straight for the Cerberus. It's actually cheaper than the Nova. I'm not sure how much useful how useful the Nova will be there. But, you know, Walker is moving out. He did build a couple of Mavericks. Maverick, I think, is really good in this situation. Tasto was about to finish a Viper. Ooh! Tasto actually built a tactical nuke here. This is great. If this tactical nuke can finish building... If the silo can finish building a missile, does Walker know about this? I don't know if he saw it. Oh, this is so good by Tasto. Walker did see it. He's building a protector, but will it be in time? One tactical nuke would wreck Walker's base. Now, here's the issue. Tasto does not have vision. So Tasto has no idea what he's shooting at. Like, he could hit this area and hit nothing. Because he can't build a scout. There's no air. But if he could hit this area, oh my goodness, that would be like game-ending. But Walker did just build an anti-nuke. So Tasto, he's got to shoot this as soon as it is ready. Like, Tasto needs to... If this is going to work, he's got to go right away. And use that nuke. Oh, man. So Walker knows about this, but Tasto could, like... He could kind of win the game, I think, with this. If it works. If he shoots it in time. Brown is essentially stuck in his base. Walker just finished his Nova, but I don't know if the Nova can actually shoot over these hills. That's the issue I'm having with this strategy. But man, it sucks that we can't see how far the tactical nuke is from being built, because my lord, that thing could be a game-ending proposition if he gets it off in time. It does look like the Nova is getting some shots off. I mean, it does have an arc. I wasn't sure it would actually be able to shoot over the hills, but it does look like it's hitting some of these Dominators. So the Nova, perhaps a better investment than what I originally gave it credit for. But man, I would really like to see Tasto shoot the tactical nuke while he can. That anti-nuke is going to be ready at any moment. The Nova still hitting the wall sometimes. But man, I'd like to see Walker finish a Cerberus as well. But yeah, right now, things very tense here in the north. Here in the south, Brown finally deciding it's time to attack and sending his own tactical nuke. Ooh, nice job there by Brown, taking out Tasto's tactical nuke. And now Tasto ready for his own assault. He will run into some Widows on the way. But I think he may have... Okay, he is firing it now. Let's slow it down. This could be game-ending. So guys, he's just firing this tactical nuke. Does Walker... Oh my god, Walker just finished that anti-nuke. What... Wow, that was so close. I swear, if that thing had shot like a few seconds earlier, Walker's entire base would just be eviscerated. I mean, he probably would just leave the game, because that would have been game-ending. So, man, that was close. Like, unfortunately, we couldn't see how close it was, but I promise you, Walker just finished that anti-nuke in the nick of time. Like, you know, Hollywood Michael Bay style close, you know, counting down to the last second. Unfortunately, I don't think Tasto is really going to be able to break through here with these Widows. They're so tanky. Or excuse, these are the Marauders. The Widow is perhaps the core version. But anyway, I don't think he's going to be able to break through here. This is the problem with this map: is these choke points are a bit much. And unfortunately, now Brown is approaching from the south, and so this is the problem with the player that takes the middle. This is the issue. It's like, as soon as you take the middle, you become the target of both players. So now Tasto might be feeling a bit of pressure as he is being kind of closed on by both people, and immediately going to T3 now that he realizes that Walker is on T3. Tasto still has the best income, but he hasn't been using his metal very efficiently. And he really doesn't have enough construction power, I think. So if you guys watched the last cast, if you saw how many constructors Lemminkainen was building, that's ideal. You know, if he had like 20 constructors or more, you know, throwing up this Ultra K-Bot gantry, he could use all of his resources easily and get that thing done in a few seconds. But as it is, he's only got about, you know, maybe 10 T1 construction K-Bots, and it's clearly not even enough to use his resources. So, guys, that is something. Like, it's a bit like playing Factorio. I don't know if you've ever played any kind of factory simulator, but, you know, always build more than you need. You know, build more than you think you're going to use, because in the end, you know, you'll be surprised at how much production you can actually make use of once your income is high enough. And Tasto, you know, he's got the best income in the game, but sending this advanced construction bot mid, this Ultra K-Bot gantry, it's taking a while to finish. And in the meantime, Walker is moving out with all these Widows and his commander. And this Nova ended up being almost useless. Again, I didn't really like this decision. He might try to use it a little more. Let's see how many kills it has. It has 6 kills. But man, if he had just gone for the Raptor right away, it would probably be finished by now, and he could end the game with that. But, yeah, deciding to, you know, stick on the Marauder game plan. And now Brown has finally broken through. He's killed the Dragon's Teeth. He's making his way onto the map, and Blue's going to get a bit sandwiched now because he has taken residence in the middle, and that will allow both teams to kind of squeeze him. And with all these widows moving through, this could be a very difficult situation for Blue, I think, as he gets caught in the crossfire. Now, when the Marauders come down, they will be met with this Viper. But unfortunately, Tasto already has his hands full with Brown's army. Dominator spam galore. The Marauders make it to the front, and this Viper will explode almost instantly. And maybe Walker and Major Paradox will be meeting in combat here. Most of Blue's units are now dead. A nice tactical nuke there. We'll kill maybe a couple Marauders and get the rest low, but ultimately the game is still pretty close. I don't know who I would say is ahead. Walker still has this Nova. It is getting a little bit of work done when its shots can fly over the hills. Tasto has the best eco, though, so even though Walker is on T3, Tasto is almost on T3, and he's got about double the metal. So it's hard to say who's ahead. I think Walker's army is the best right now because it's a T3 army. It's the only player that is on T3. And this will force Tasto to retreat, but the problem is because of these very narrow pathways, it's going to be difficult for these Marauders to even get through here. And Tasto can just sort of, I think, block the area indefinitely until he gets to T3 himself. But Brown, he's moving all of his units through to the east, and he's unaware that there's actually nothing over here. So this is just a huge waste of time. There's basically a funeral procession moving through the eastern pass, and that's just going to find absolutely nothing at the end of their long and perilous journey towards Mordor. And yeah, Brown finishing this Ultra K-Bot gantry, that will take a while. You know, he's got the lowest resources in the game right now. So he will eventually get to T3 himself, but it's going to take forever. And speaking of taking forever, this Raptor, they're very expensive. So earlier I mentioned the Cerberus is like half the cost of a Nova. No, excuse me, the Cerberus is half the cost of a Gorgon. But less than a Nova, but the Raptor is like the cost of, let's see, like 4 Cerberus. And probably, like, in terms of build time, I'm not even sure, you know. Like, the Raptor probably something like 10 times the build time of a Cerberus. So this thing is going to take forever, even for Walker. And Walker doesn't have enough build power to even use his resources right now. He is constructing more advanced K-Bots, but yeah, I think, guys, if we were in a game with someone like EXE or Lemminkainen or Race, I think you would see a million constructors. You know, like, all these players are building kind of like the bare minimum of constructors, but one thing that separates a good player from a great player is just the amount of build power that they can produce. I mean, it kind of boggles the mind, because when you're playing the game, you never think you need that much, but then you're in these situations like Tasto's in, where he can't even use his resources because he just doesn't have the build power necessary to use the resources that he has. Now, Walker is using his resources, and this Raptor is about halfway done, so it will eventually complete, but I don't know why. I don't know why. Oh, no, that's a decoy commander. I thought that was Walker's real commander, but that is just a decoy. It's not real. His real commander is back in his base. But yeah, nonetheless, the game is a bit stalemated, as Brown has sent his entire army over into no man's land, and that will achieve practically nothing. Brown is almost on T3. Walker, once he finishes this Raptor, is going to be in a great position. Because, you know, the Raptor, like a T3.5, it will actually be able to walk through the pass, I think, fairly effectively. And even kill, you know, these defenses. But it is interesting. I like what Taste is doing here. He's building some Defilers. Now, guys, the Defilers, I think, can walk over walls. Yeah, as you can see here, these things have pretty good climbing ability, and they can traverse a very steep terrain. And so the fact that these can, like, walk over walls might end up being a game-ending proposition for Walker, as he is just sending one Defiler. Look, it's going straight towards Walker's base. Meanwhile, Walker is kind of stalled here in the pass. But man, yeah, he's just... I really like this because Tasto basically, as soon as he finished the Ultra K-Bot Gantry, he went straight for the Defilers. And he built maybe one constructor, but Tasto, he knew what he was doing here. And this is a really interesting strategy because if he can get his Defilers here and take out all of Walker's eco, this game could end very quickly. The decoy commander does die, but these Defilers are now on their way, walking over all the terrain, walking past all the obstacles, and headed straight towards Walker's base. And, oh wait, he's retreating now a little bit. But Walker, he's still stuck here in that choke-pointed area. These Defilers are doing the Lord's work, moving through the trees, moving over the tops of the mountains, doing what no other unit can do. And oh man, this is so bad for Walker. Oh no, Walker is going to be panicking. Yeah, Walker just gives up immediately. He doesn't even try to fight or degun those. Those just get into his base, and that will be that for our friend Walker. So nice job by Tasto. He's definitely, I think, played the best game here. He had the best eco. He took over the right side at the beginning, but he had control of the mid for a while. I liked his use of Dominators, but yeah, now it is a 1v1, and we'll have to see what happens because Brown is in a similar situation. You know, he's not really prepared for these Defilers, and if those can get into his base, I mean, they can just wreak havoc. He's now working on a Krogoth, but this reminds me a little bit of what Walker was doing just a few minutes ago. Building that Raptor. I think that's going to take too long to really get out there. Though, if Walker had completed that Raptor, it could have been a game-ending... even with the Defilers, he still might have been able to win, because that thing would have just, I think, walked through this pass with near impunity. Tasto might have been able to degun it eventually, but yeah, the thing is, Brown is going to see this now. He's going to see these on the radar. But I don't know if it matters if he sees them on the radar or not. He just doesn't have any defenses here. He might need to use his commander for a D-gun, because once these Defilers get into his base, they are going to start wrecking things, irradiating the entire world. The Ultra K-Bot Gantry getting burned down. And I think with that, Brown is going to... he says cancer. So guys, yeah, take the cancer. That's what Tasto says. So guys, it's sort of a problem with the map like this is, like, in the end the players are going to say this was BS or that was BS, but, like, it's kind of like the way the map is designed. There's just no way to play it that's, like, not going to be BS, because in the end, you know, if you ban air and you ban nukes and you ban Defilers and you ban everything, you know, it's like, well, then there's just no way the game would ever end. So I'm going to give props to Blue. He's definitely the MVP that game. He came up with a strategy that worked, that kind of broke the map. Unfortunately, ARM doesn't really have a Defiler, so Walker couldn't have even done that, even if he wanted to. But anyway, interesting game. I don't think I'll ever cast that map again. That was just, you know, at the very least, I would like air to be enabled on a map like that. But I just don't think the map is super well designed. Like I said, if there was a bunch of metal in the middle, That would at least be more interesting, because then everyone would be fighting for the middle, and that would maybe create a more dynamic situation than just, people ecoing up for an hour and then moving to T3 and whatever. But guys, thanks for watching. I've never done an FFA before, but at least on Escalation. But I will see you in the next cast.